Miss Pinner, very cool. Like very, very people usually do fun.
So I finally
She didn't pass it.
I got a 92, she purged it to a 93.
That's the first one.
Yeah, so she heard it. She's like,
Thank goodness.
I was hoping that last year when I had her she scored like 17 points. Like I got a 95 on one test and she turned up to a 1.
Oh, I get it. I get the joke.
I'm feeling very
It's funny.
silly today.
Wait, you get it how?
Got to go to sleep, which is a thing
It's
that
under the root, dude.
But where's the square? I don't get
I
it.
was like working on.
That is
I wasn't even drinking
I don't
caffeine.
get
I was
the
working
square.
on
Yeah,
a
I get
project,
the
box.
and
You
this
take
was
it out of
6
the
in the
root.
morning.
Yeah, but
And I was like, I don't know where the
I
time
don't
went,
know.
but I had to
Y'all
go somewhere.
expect too
And
much.
so
Huh?
I-
Said y'all expect too much.
it wouldn't be that hard to make the boxes.
That's a comet.
It'd be like some sort of.
It's
Square
It's
tree.
just a comet.
Another 90 quiz.
Square
Yeah, but
tree.
like, hey, if you need high math knowledge, I'm saying,
Yeah, high
then I'm gonna
math
need
is
the
not
highest
square.
number.
My little brother is already knows this.
Me neither. Anyway, something root.
Wait, is there tricks stuff?
Hey, this Judah stuff.
I
All right, clear off your desk for mini quiz.
Is there a quiz? I feel comfortable. Oh my god. Okay. It's fine. It's
My
fine.
favorite part of my Mr. Townsend is using a That thing is nice, dude. That is nice.
I got it. Sleep. That makes me silly. And now I'm going even sillier. You got too silly. I got double silly. I'm gonna die of a stroke at 25. Oh god. Silly moment. Just like the word I use. You know?
I can take it.
I heard somebody go on a tangent or debate class about how physics I don't know.
Okay, 8 questions. Couple from each part. So hopefully you looked those back over at this one the first time. And I had meant to put a couple extra answers in there, so there was a few distractors. And I don't know, I got distracted or something because I didn't do that. So 8 questions, 8 answers, everything fits in one place. Also, like I had told you, instead of a bunch of minor points on this one, this will count as 4 major points, so half a point each. Be a little extra careful. And then under bell work, I did not tell you to turn in the homework because number 3 on our agenda here is turning in your homework at the same time as the mini quiz. So your homework was finishing up the 1 FRQ. I gave you class time to do it, but you needed to also grade it and watch the video for corrections and all that kind of stuff. So if you didn't turn it in the Google Classroom before class, if you didn't turn it in at the start of class, make sure you turn it in with your mini quiz, please. When you finish your mini quiz, just turn them both in at the same time. And you'll also need your mock exam today, so if you didn't see that under bell work, grab that on your way back to your seat.
Should I just turn the whole packet, or do you want me to rip it off?
No, just the whole pack's fine. I'll try to get it back to you today.
Did you see the FRQ that I turned in again with it graded?
Yeah, I gave you the points the first
Okay,
time. I just wanted
okay,
you to go
sweet.
back and make sure that you were actually
Okay.
learning what you needed to out of it.
turn this in the definite integral circuit?
No.
No?
124, which was the one of the 6 FRQs.
I turned my FRQ online.
Yeah, that's fine. This is just basically please. I gave you all 6.
Oh, yeah. That's the new.
That's if you didn't do Google Classrooms, one or the other. Or both, but not neither.
Do I still need to buy my exam? It's like, are we gonna look over?
We're going to go over 6 of these questions, so probably yes. Still. Guys, stay quiet, please. Let people finish.
It's like almost ending with a 0. I want to check.
Is that it for the quizzes? Okay, while everyone gets the rest of their mock exams back. Again, just to be clear, since you were taking a quiz when I verbalized that, I wanted your homework that if it did not go in Google Classroom, which was the 1 FRQ from 124, and of course I need your mini quiz. This is why I put it under bell work, so that y'all can do it before class. Because when y'all are waiting on each other, it takes too long. Okay, while you wait for them, later on today, down there, number 7 on the agenda, I'm going to give you some more class time to finish the circuit, which was 122. That was over definite integrals. I gave you some class time to do it, but not enough class time to finish it, and I did not ask you to finish it for homework yet. So, while we wait for everyone to get their mock exam, the rest of y'all would get that out and see where you're at, and then you can hit the ground running here in a bit when we get to it. So what we're going to do with the rest of our class here is I'm going to give you a few more specifics about the AP exam, some details that, some random details that I think might be beneficial for you to know about. We're going to talk about one of the handouts you guys picked up, 126. We're going to go over 6 of the mock exam questions. 3 of them I've already given you class time to do, so for the other 3 I'm going to give you another 6 minutes, and then we're going to go over those 6, and for each of those 6, again, it is strategic. I'm not just picking random ones. So I put out the percentage by them. Some of them don't have a terrible percentage. 43% is not that bad, but those are questions that I think are important enough that 43% needs to be higher, so that's why I picked those out. Then I'll give you some class time to work on 122, but if you don't finish that in class, that will be homework. And if you do finish that in class and you have some more class time, then I'm giving you 127 to get a head start on. So 127 will not be homework, but 122 will be if you don't finish it.
did the inverse trig derivatives with this.
Okay, do you have it back?
No, it's like a Z in the grid book.
I know, but do you have it back? You might check the homework box.
I got section 2 the first time at all.
Back folders, 6th period, alphabetical. Should be right where y'all put it. Okay, let's move on because you don't need the mock exam yet anyway. Yeah, I just need it back. Sometimes gradebook just doesn't save it. It's been happening a lot. Okay, so I want to give you a tiny bit more information / try to slightly scare you into studying a little bit more. So part of that is, I know students always like to know, like, how many people pass the AP exam. Well, I don't have this on here, but in the whole country, how many people do you think make a perfect score on the AP exam?
1.
Last year it was one person. One person in the entire nation got a perfect score. No, it wasn't. But I do tease him that it wasn't him. But again, some perspective here. So the main thing I want you to get out of this is, a lot of times, I know it's the end of the year and it's hard to stay motivated and all that kind of stuff. But just, if you don't put in a good effort the last couple weeks and you don't come into the AP test focused and ready to work the best that you can, it is certainly not an automatic pass. Along the far left there is the pass rate specifically for Fayetteville High School. I started teaching calculus in 2020, so I don't know what happened in 2018, but 2021, you probably have a guess what that was.
That was
after. That was beginning. That was when it was a mixture of.
I started in 2020. 2021 was the year that we were virtual / hybrid, that kind of stuff.
That makes sense.
So some students were never in class a single day. They were virtual the whole year. So anyway, so you can see kind of the drop off to the right. Not that it matters to you, but just kind of I only know the percents of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s of my students. I can't do that for the rest of them. But you can see my first year teaching calculus was 2020, and it was almost 70% passed. And then that virtual year, there was quite a bit of a drop down to 47%. So even though you guys are not virtual hybrid, of course, there's still some ripple effects of those years. So some geometry things you may not know, what you're supposed to know, stuff like that. But the main thing I want you to see out of these numbers is that they're probably not as high as you expected them to be. Because our AP test, if you are very passive about it, you might be able to pass it, but just because you could pass it doesn't mean that you will pass it. You actually have to try, and you actually have to set yourself up to prepare well. Here's the numbers for the worldwide scores and the breakdown. This is on AP Classroom. The main thing out of this one is it's just fairly consistent. There's not any year where it just jumps up a lot for any one. And that partly has to do with the scale. I told you it's a scale score, just like the ACT is. So if the test is hard, the average is going to be lower, and they're going to expect you to have less points. If the test is easy, the average is going to be higher, and they're going to expect you to have more points. So when they adjust that in, the numbers of 1, 2, 3s, 4s, and 5s stays pretty consistent. The reason why I really try to hammer that home is because obviously I don't know what this year's test looks like, but if you get the test and you say, this is hard, I don't think I can get a passing score, everybody's in the same boat as you. So the only way to really fail yourself there is to just give up. As long as you're trying, everyone else is in the same boat and it all works out. This slide says last week, but this was actually like 2 years ago. So 2 years ago I did a workshop one day, and one of the guys that works with College Board that knows a lot more about the grading had some memorable quotes that I think should resonate with y'all. One thing he said is that the year before, half of the people who got a 2 would have gotten a 3 if they just scored 3 more points overall. So 3 more multiple choice questions, and half of the people who got a 2 would have ended up with a 3. That's pretty significant. Or maybe just like one more part of one FRQ could be 3 points too. So this is what I mean by like when you have extra time on the AP exam, going back and checking your answers, making sure there's not an explanation, make sure that you follow the directions. Some of those people could have passed if they had done those type of things, because 3 points is not very much out of 108. That year, to get from a 2 to a 4 was only 11 points. So about 10 multiple choice questions more, got a score of 2 up to a 4. Now again, this is not going to be exactly the same this year, but it should be fairly similar. On calculator FRQs, which would be FRQ 1 and 2, if you know how to do the problem, you type it in your calculator, you get an answer, you write that answer down on your paper, that's called a bald answer. They're not going to give you any points for that. Anything you type in the calculator is good work to show. You need to write that down on paper too. No justification, explanation should be more than 1 sentence. The main thing with that is sometimes you guys, if y'all are taking 3 or 4 sentences to try to make your case for an answer, then you're probably on the wrong track. Like it should be much more concise than that if you're on the right track. And then you know that you don't have to do any arithmetic with numbers. 3 plus 5, you don't have to simplify it to 8. You can leave your answer to 3 plus 5. They will count that. You cannot leave your answer f of 1 plus 3. You would have to evaluate what f of 1 is. But you don't have to do any numeric arithmetic in FRQs. I'm going through this pretty quick, but I'm going to share this most of the days we have left. So he said that one FRQ is, and again, there's no guarantee, of course, but one FRQ is always a geometric graph. That's what we have practiced a lot of. One FRQ is always a rate in, rate out, is what he said. So we will practice some of those. You've done some of those before, but you may not know what they look like. Always around the 3 decimal places. And we might see this later today, but sometimes on the AP exam, well, all functions, if a function is differentiable, it is automatically continuous. But on the AP exam, they often will test to see if you state that. They will say f is differentiable, and then to work with it, you need to say that it's continuous. So as a good rule of thumb, anytime they say that in an FRQ, you should just say differentiable, arrow, continuous. If it's not needed, it doesn't waste but 5 seconds. And if it is needed, oftentimes you're going to get a point or two that's kind of hard to see otherwise. If it's differentiable, it has to be continuous. Just make sure you write that down, just in case. Okay, and we're running behind here, so I was going to have you add some reasons why you might want to pass the AP exam, but again, we're going to look at this another day. So, moving on.
Is there nothing there? There's no reasons.
No, I want to get your reasons.
Oh.
But again, I didn't expect us to take 20 minutes to pick up our mock exams. So, all right, one of the handouts you guys picked up is 126. It is the one that says AP Survival Guide. So this is a collection of different things that I often give out around this time of year, and I just put them as one big packet. So there's not any specific work that you need to do for that, but let's go ahead and talk about what's on there so that you know when you might refer to this. If you did not do the mock exam, it's got the testing schedule at the top, so you know when you're doing multiple choice, calculator, no calculator, all that kind of stuff. You can read it to yourself later. After that, it's got the breakdown of units, the major topics, and how much it gets weighted on the AP exam. And I apologize that it's so small, but this document was already several pages, so. So again, you don't need to read it right now. I just want you to have that information to scan at some point. On page 2, I listed out some of the resources that I would suggest that you look at. Number 1 definitely being FRQs. There's no such thing as practicing FRQs too much. Some of them are more likely to be on here than others, and we'll see that on a following page. There's also the AP live reviews that are not bad practice. AP Classroom, I opened up the progress checks, so if you like doing those type of practice, that's an option. Khan Academy's great for just skill practice, and you can go straight to their test. You could do Unit 4 test, and if you did well on it, then you may not worry about Unit 4. And if you didn't do as well on it as you thought, then you might need to practice some of the questions in Unit 4. So that's kind of a quick way to help you identify what you need to. And then of course our classroom tests are mostly made up of released AP exam questions, so coming to look at your past tests and advisory is not a bad idea either. So those are just some suggestions I'm throwing out there too. Some stuff that you should do before the AP exam and some things to consider during the AP exam. Again, I'm not going to read them to you, but some of these I just don't have time to emphasize to y'all all the time. Such as your calculator needs to be in radian mode. So if you have your own calculator and somehow it gets put in degree mode, and then you figure it out halfway through your AP test, you're going to be very frustrated because you might have missed a bunch of stuff and you might have been really confused why none of your answers were working out. So, again, I'm not going to read everyone to you, but there's some important stuff in there, so I typed it up. That continues on the next page. The page after that says common FRQ types in the top left. And I did not do the research to do this, but I did type it up to make it a little bit more manageable. What I'd like you to get out of this page is to see that there are certain FRQ types that are very common. For example, what they're calling type 1, rate and accumulation. They asked that type of FRQ in 2002, 2004, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 17. They don't ask it every year, but the chances that you get an FRQ of that type is pretty high. So if I was you, and again, I'm going to try to get you guys as much help and type of stuff in class, but you know, I think we're down to like 5 class days if you count today. It's going to go by quick. If I was you, I would look at one of those, and if it didn't look familiar, I would try it and practice it. And if you don't do well on it, there's like over 10 of them there. So, but same thing with linear motion, graph analysis, differential equations and slope fields, tables and Riemann sums, area and volume. That's not going to be the 6 FRQ types you have, but I bet that's going to be 4 or 5 of the types that you have. So you can be well prepared if you practice those, and it makes it a little bit easier. I don't know what the others are. I have not had time to do that. I know you know how to find that stuff on the internet, but I did type up how you could find the FRQ, the scoring guide, and help videos at the top of that page. The next page is something I just happened to run into like this week, like Monday or Tuesday this week. Someone, I don't know how long this took somebody to do, but up until 2022, I don't know what year they started on, but they arranged them by easiest to most difficult based on average. Wasn't it y'all that asked me what was the lowest average ever?
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, but what is it? 0.96 out of 9. That's the lowest average FRQ ever. 2007 FRQ 3. The second lowest one is almost twice the score as that one, so that one was pretty tough.
Is there a way to find them in particular?
Yes.
Where?
Google search, CalAB 2007 FRQ 3.
Nice.
In fact, I did it the other day just because I had to see what was so hard about it.
What was so hard about it?
Well, is anyone going to look it up and practice it? Because I don't want to spoil it.
I don't think it's like this. Oh, it's already up.
Well, no, this is where I pulled it up from the other day. I just didn't close it. They give a big table with a bunch of numbers. Some of them you need, some of them you don't need. The first one is they give you a function h, and you have to show why h has to be -5 at some point. So that really just boils down to IVT, intermediate value theorem. Part B, show why the derivative has to be -5 at some point. That is MVT, mean value theorem. C is a derivative of an integral. What is that called?
First fundamental theorem.
Yeah, fundamental theorem of calculus, and there's a chain rule piece in there. So part C is not bad at all. And part D had to do with inverse functions. So that could be tricky if you don't remember you remember how if a function has a point like 2.5, its inverse has to have a point 5.2?
Okay.
Do you remember that from like Algebra 2 and Pre-Cal? Inverse just means you're switching input and output, so you switch x and y. So any point on the function, you can switch x and y and you get a point on the inverse. You have to know that to be able to do part D. But anyway, you're welcome to pull it up and try it, but that's what it boiled down to. I don't think it's as bad as that number looks like, but anyway. If you're up for a challenge, you could try some of the hardest ones just to see how bad they could be. Or on the other extreme, you could try the 2005 FRQ1. It had the highest average. So if you tried that one and you're not getting a score of 5 or 6, then there must be some stuff that everyone else knows that you don't know, and that would also help you identify that. Anyway, I thought that was kind of neat, so I wanted to share that with you. The last 2 pages are some of the stuff that you're supposed to have memorized, like quotient rule, product rule, derivative of trig functions, knowing that you can't take a derivative at a cusp, just random things that you're supposed to have memorized. How do you know if something is increasing in speed or decreasing in speed? What's the first fundamental theorem of calculus? What's the second fundamental theorem of calculus? All the basics that you're supposed to have memorized are just kind of all typed up. So I think those would be things, if I was you, at least the night before the AP exam, I would read through those, and any of them I didn't have memorized, I would make flashcards or write down 10 times, whatever. But those things likely show up. So as I said, there's no work that you have to do for me on this, but I do feel like as we get closer to the AP exam and you know you need to study some stuff and you don't know what to study, this kind of should help you figure out something that would be worth your time. All right. Moving on to part 6 of the, or I'm sorry, is there any questions from that? Anything that jumps out at you? Anybody going to practice all these FRQs? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Just joking. If you started right now, I don't know if you could do it before the AP exam. It would be very time consuming. All right, next up, I would like us to go over 6 of the mock exam questions. So if you did the mock exam, you already have these 6 completed, and you're welcome to look at some other questions, look at some other ones that you missed maybe, retry some questions. But for the people who did not do the mock exam, you've already done 3 of these questions. The first day I gave you your hard copy, you did questions 4, 6, and 10. Those should already be done on your page. But I have not given you class time to do 11, 19, or 29. Number 11, only 43% of people got it right. Number 19, 21%, and number 29, 28%. All 3 of those are non-calculator questions, which means we should be spending about 6 minutes on total. So this is why you picked up your mock exam today. So for those of you that did not show up on the Saturday for mock exam, I'm going to ask that you do those 3 in 6 minutes, starting now. Then we'll go over all 6 of those.
I'll put it on the side.
Mr. Johnson? 0 divided by 0 is undefined, right? 0 divided by 0 is undefined.
0 divided by 0, like a limit question?
Yeah.
That could be anything.
Like infinity or 0.
Or 2, or 5.
Why is that?
When you do L'Hopital's rules for your doc,
Yeah.
some teachers make their students memorize those at the beginning of the year, but I don't make y'all do that because once you know L'Hopital's rules, you
It
don't need to
doesn't-
memorize anything.
yeah.
Just do derivative of numerator or derivative of denominator, do derivative of teaching again. I don't feel like that's worth memorizing.
Yeah.
Let's see, I already had his. just 2 more minutes for those 3 questions. Or yeah, 3 questions.
David, do you have Marsh? Again, like today, I don't know, it was pouring down rain, I don't know if it was still through.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Alright, so this 122, handout 122, I gave you all like 30 minutes of class time last week, and I'm giving you the rest of class time to finish that up. Again, if you don't finish that in class, then that's what I'd like you to do for homework between now and Tuesday. If you do finish that in class, please go ahead and turn it into Google Classroom, so there's no risk of you losing it. And if that fits you, then you can also start on 127. 127 is not homework, but I would love for you to get a head start on it if you have class time. And I'm going to grade the last couple of these mini quizzes so that I can get them back to you, and then I'll come around and help. So. No, the asterisk on that one, you got to read the directions on the top, front page. Asterisk means that you should graph it and use geometry. Well, the calculator is just going to give you the answer. It's going to do the whole thing for you, so that's not the point of these. You do need to know how to do it in the calculator, but I don't want you to just use the calculator 22 times. You need to see that you can do these by hand.
I'm just trying to get some. I've already
This tangent theta is x over 30. So the derivative is theta squared. Theta is theta prime because x over squared. And then that portion would be 1.
For $0.
I'm trying to figure out how I got 50 over 30.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better. I won't have to have like a
Where's the rate of change?
Hey, doing tutoring now, I'm good at math, please call. And then charge me sort of.
13, I already got 13, I already got 14. 14.
As this
You're
got-
fine, 14 again.
And then the inverse of is 1 over the square root.
Maybe they value, maybe they multiple.
So,
4 pi, yeah, that's correct. 15. 15, I got negative. I got 2 pi. Oh, no, I got negative
what
2
I
pi.
receive is 1 over 10 theta, right?
No, that's called
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's,
16 was this one.
Inverse tangent would be
Is this
x over 50.
Oh, I've already got this on.
Oh, you're.
that's your,
Trying to figure out.
Equals theta.
yeah. And then you just, this is with respect to y,
So,
or is it like with respect to what? Yeah, it's radians per second. Yeah, then with respect to time. So it would be 1 over, so yeah, 8 prime equals 1 over,
Oh, wait, no, it is 3.
and 1 over that squared plus 1.
You got it. What was that?
Liberate. And then it's what? What height is it?
42.
Oh, this is hard. I'll pull it up. Show me.
Huh? That one is old.
Oh, okay. So here. Two, sorry, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was happy, sorry.
5, I don't know where 5 went. Oh, you guys did that. Okay, your mistake is right here. It doesn't say integrate these. I think I already have 4. You're adding 3 as part of the integration. So what do you take the derivative of to get 3? And then if you evaluate that from 0 to 5, that becomes. Plug in 5, you get 5 to what? That's what you get. Plug in 0. 0.
I found that answer. It looks.
How you do that?
This one.
Your standing setting
That way, since it's the negative one, you can
3 from 0 to 5. Number 4 is negative 3. Yes. This is 3x
Okay.
So that last part's not 3, it's 15.
Okay.
You actually
That
have to
one's
integrate
numbered
that
as
part.
42.
The first 2 parts they gave you,
What?
the last part
2 minus
17.
negative 3.
Wait, let me see if I can finish this still. Let's see what number 6 is.
Because that's 3x.
Okay, I guess I just decided to do number 4 twice. I didn't move on with this. Let's see what I can got though.
But this is partly why, how I always say this dx is important. Because like if you never write dx, how do you know if you add 3 after you integrate?
I
Or
did
is it
X
part of the integration?
substitution.
And that's why
Since we use
the
that.
dx is on the outside, we know that we actually
So I
have to
call it
integrate.
X substitution.
Got it, okay.
Oh wait, we're given the rate which is both prices.
Yeah.
Which jumps up.
Oh, okay.
The natural one of 2
If you want, and then
Yeah, that would
whatever
evaluate
value you pick up today, so you have left to do next time.
So I don't think I did that right.
You don't need any substitution. Just a half. You can on that one, but I don't think you'll know how to simplify your answer. Since you've got 1/2 here and that's just a constant, move the 1/2 out and worry about it later, and then you can just integrate whatever you need. Something like that.
Are the test corrections in
They're supposed to be, so if yours doesn't look right, you need to let me know.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Because I started putting them in and then somebody else was finishing them up or something.
Okay, I put one like the day before. And now I actually.
But it doesn't look right, Greg, but? Okay.
All.
These are the calculus walker
Yes,
exams.
please.
Unless you want to look at it more today.
Oh, this chapter 58 sounds like a Monday night type of deal.
Seems like a text to Dylan. Hey, it's the last one I got.
There we go. That made a little bit of a difference.
Like, oh my gosh, no, the first time I was like, actually like crying. But then like I did test corrections, like, wait, I actually know how to do this, so.
What was different? Did you remember you were like doing one thing wrong all the time? or-
Yeah, it was, so when it's not the x-axis, I forgot if you added or subtracted the errors. And then I figured out if I wrote it down, it was like if it was above, then you subtract it and if it was below, like region and kind of find for the
Oh,
area.
you're going right to left or something?
Yeah.
As long as you know.
Yeah, I know what I did wrong.
What?
Yeah, it should be.
Goes back to the cylinder.
Match up with what's going.
Don't let us go.
I had to solve for some of you votes.
Because I started putting them in
You started it?
early this
Yeah.
week.
No, what's your
I
go-to
tried to
email?
catch them.
Yeah.
You want mine as
I don't really have a go-to email.
I'm a big guy. I'm a big waiver.
Wait,
Yeah, I fit the day.
I guess you just integrate it with A,
I
because I
agree.
saw there's
So
a.
that
Yeah,
means
what's
you
your-
probably
what's
need
your
to
email?
for you.
Yeah, you just do one half.
What's your email?
You is usually the thing that's tracking something, but not always.
I never had to do what they do. I could never
you. And you.
Yeah.
I always have one planned.
FaceTime too.
Like I had, so I didn't get to use it.
Outside the box. Over to that, so, it was crazy, my 0 hour the other day. I noticed that the boy that sits here has a boot on his leg, and the boy right behind him has a boot on his leg.
And then you tried to like use me as a test subject.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell him.
By the way, I stubbed my toe that day.
Oh, okay.
I'm dead serious.
I'm sure it's my fault.
Yes!
Probably
Hooray! Hooray!
Probably didn't change the grade.
Oh, another one. Hooray!
Alright, I'm gonna start deducting points.
Please.
No. I just need to finish, so it's like when I emailed them.
Anytime I see James Warback, like, don't want this, I just What's the interval?
What?
What's the interval?
Of what?
There's something.
Dude, I remember that song.
I thought they for most of the classes, they don't have much more.
Today I saw, I was on my computer and I was like, I looked up something and one of the
Yeah, let's take
and I laughed for like 2 minutes. I got like tears streaming down. I was like, I developed, it was so, it was like a kind of fully done CGI Ratatouille, Remy Ratatouille, not Ratatouille, it's one thing. And I was looking at it and it was.
Wait, is it an
Wasn't
89
that
point
funny?
something about the
It
prize?
was just funny looking enough that I was laughing looking at it. And then like, I looked over my shoulder at my computer and it looked like I was like cracking up at this kind of poorly done Ratatouille.
How do I
Why are you laughing at that? And that just made me laugh harder because like the absurdity of the fact that I was laughing at that. And then it was.
What is the area?
Okay, it's like,
Right.
that,
I think I broke it for
like,
Yeah, like all the fact that.
so he's probably gonna have homework. Maybe he'll do extra
It's like a
credit.
version of this would be good, and then you need to make a prime, so you do like, okay, that's good.
I
6
I
times
did
6
it
is
back
30.
then.
Half 36 is 50. 2 times 6 is 12.
Well, this is 30, and they're telling you this is 40.
Oh, never mind. I just missed where the
Secant's whenever cosine.
line.
Cosines are adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is 30 and this is 40. It's happening.
I think I can get with this.
So 30 over 50 is cosine, so 50 over 30 is
Oh.
I mean, whatever you can say.
Wait, oh. Oh wait, never mind. I was.
This wouldn't be the calculator.
I hope not. Because,
Here we go.
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah. I'm tired. I'm so tired. The rain is just like.
Because it's cos. So
I'm drinking this.
adjacent over hypotenuse.
And it's just making me like a little nauseous and my brain
This would have to be
like
50
my body feels bad.
34.5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
On this one, though, I don't know which
This
one.
50 squared.
That is probably what I was thinking first as well, but you're never gonna get to rewrite all that.
I'm drawing
Like, you can't integrate this. You gotta pick a different view, yeah.
This would just be zero.
Have you started this? How far?
Zero.
9.
Don't drink the
What would happen
lemonade
if you were
at
assigned to it?
Starbucks. the charge limit, that has, okay, so this
Oh, you
has.
started it. This seems like you're one of the
A medium charge limit from Panera Bread has like.
Oh, exactly
I would also. Besides medium.
Oh, I already did the other one.
Panera Bread, it's called charge limit.
This one was this
Yeah, that has more caffeine.
Figured it out.
The class had.
The large has 390 milligrams.
I mean, it's not just five.
Wait, Maren, are you pretty up to Panera's charge limit?
Yeah, every time I go there, I
You don't
will.
expect it to have so much caffeine.
It has, a medium has more caffeine. The size they give you, like, let's be reasonable, it's more than.
Oh,
Dubstep.
They don't list it. There's regular business on there.
I'm gonna do this for
My heart already has, I'm just layering on more heart problems to be honest. I'm playing Pokemon at the party. No, like I gotta catch them all. Every heart every I can get.
You know,
My heart's
what's your favorite country album?
And that's, no. A heart attack. They're gonna open me up and there's just not going to be a heart in my body. Oh, it phased out of reality.
It's gonna be a kid amount.
Shut up.
Oh, sorry, not.
I know, yeah, but like I'm listening.
Have you listened to the rest of it? What?
There is a type of.
I really like Yeah. Oh, this is right. Give me your phone. I'm gonna.
I mean, this is many better. This is
Yeah, it's right.
180. It's already
What you're gonna do approximately
and
is
500% So I'm no scurvy.
What you're gonna do? What you're gonna do?
I'm scurvy free.
You get a chance.
What I did.
You said you're not an album listener.
You don't like orange?
Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna listen to
I like orange juice number one. Last year, I like my primary,
That's my
like my
favorite.
diet was
Yeah,
just
that's
like
so-
grapefruit,
and
mustard,
so-
energy, an apple, and
Listen here, like, if you
the fries.
listen to like the first three songs, and then like if you don't like it, fine. You're gonna like it, and then you're gonna listen to the rest of the album. The Sacred Souls by the Sacred Souls.
My favorite country band is Death Grips. Yeah, really like underground band.
Really underground country band.
Pull up a Death Grips song.
Last year, I was going through it, as they say.
Why?
Yep.
Wi-Fi cuts off
I had a breakdown right at the end of my second semester. And I
Guys, we got about 4 minutes, and I do need your mock exam back, so if there's not a line back there to turn it in, you might just go look it up.
So
My fault.
Oh, it does. I saw your car. Yeah, I have to carry like a limo with me at all times because I can say it's like it's a it drives you out. Like,
I'm getting ready for this.
so I have like the 70-year-old. Every morning I wake up, I just think I feel older. So that's what I feel like. You're a sophomore?
I don't think so. From 0 to 1, just has a width of 1.
1 to 2, this
So
one.
how's it?
I think it's not gonna work.
So 1 by 6 should be 6 here.
Oh, okay. Okay, I had it this way.
Okay, and then this one has width is half. Right side guys. So half of 10 would be 5. Okay, that looks good. And this one's going to have 18, so half would be 9.
People think you guys
So
are
I got 40.
seniors.
And then
Our sophomores.
you just do 2 pi times 1.
Why are you doing 5?
I got like a 38 progress code.
38%, 38 out of 40.
Wait, no, it's 36.
36 out of 40. You're sad about that? I got like a 2 out of 9 on half of the topic quiz. You're sad about it. What, 36 out of 40?
No, on what?
No, you can read the progress checks.
That's an 86.
Oh.
Okay, so I realized that that's fine.
So that's what's going to complicate it.
What did I think it was?
No.
So I'm reading this guy.
What is your all my grades? I have an 18.
That's why I got they had 1 times 2 they had 1 times 2 which is not less than this one 2 times 6 times 1 which is 6. And here they did 2.5 times 10 times.
Yes. I don't know. It's still up in the air whether I'm walking.
0 to 1.
I will. I've got it.
Your extra value for this
I have
is 3.5
I've get 18,000.
and okay. So their extra value was actually and then 2.5 for this one. And and then 2 for this one. So it's like they're multiplying 4 times 1.5 times 18 and not 1.5 times 18.
Go back to last one was 4. See, the last one that they're multiplying by is 4. I think that's the R.
Oh, okay. So is it
The
just
last one that I think it's because they're squeezing this R in here without working question.
Oh, okay.
That R, so the last one has a 4 in this R, and I think the one before it was.
Oh, so it's just a plug-in problem? You just plug in the R value with the f of R? Is that what I'm missing?
Well, it's like it's saying like what's the area from 0 to 4 of this times this. So you're actually taking what you did, the function part.
This?
Yes, but you weren't multiplying it by R like it said to do.
Oh, okay.
It's
I was
kind
just
of-
really confused.
Yeah, kind of weird way to write it. But that's exactly what I mean by like sometimes FRQs will throw one little thing in there and you're like,
Yeah.
what in the world?
Yeah. I would